All right, you guys, welcome back to Quantum Magic TV. I am so stoked today because not only do I have this beautiful woman with me, Dr. Elaine here, but she is changing lives, including mine, with the work that you do. You are incredible, and you are a network spinal practitioner and have now opened your own practice called Vitality Empowers.
Yeah,
Dr. Elaine. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome.
Of course, I'm so excited to talk more about Network Spinal and just kind of have you tell us more about your experience and even deeper kind of into like what it is. I feel like I've been kind of trying to talk about it to friends and trying to open up, people's minds to it, but I'm not the best at explaining it. So if you could tell us more about what Network Spinal is, that would be amazing.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's something that comes, even for myself, it comes out different every time. And depending on who you're talking to and what your experience is, it's so different. So I'll give you what's present for me now with the work. So
Cool.
this work is a type of chiropractic, actually, which it looks very different from traditional chiropractic. But I share that because it came from studying all these different kinds of chiropractic and seeing what worked from each one and how do we make the most amount of change with the least amount of force possible. So they studied all these different kinds of chiropractic and different energetic techniques, and they compiled this technique. And it's been 30 years now, a little over 30 years that this work has been on this planet from Dr. Donald Epstein. He's the creator of the work, and it's changed so much. It's a lot more coherent and efficient now. So what that means is we're looking at energetic patterns within your body and in your field, your energetic field around you. And so these patterns can be present from childhood, they can be present from past generations, stresses of life, just how we live our life, what kind of consciousness we're in, what we're thinking about, all of these things. So these patterns will store as tension patterns in your body, or your bodies, your energetic bodies, or your physical body. And so as a network practitioner, what we're doing is we're looking to access those patterns of tension. And when we can access them, we actually start to unravel that pattern of tension. So then you can use that energy for other things. So if you're looking to heal something, if you come in, people come in all the time with a bad back to a chiropractor. It's like the minimum of what we do. But it will use that energy to help your back heal. And on the other end of it, where I really love to see, which is what we're working on with you, is that we unravel that tension, then you get to start to use that energy for your life and your business and feel more creative and like lose mental blocks and have more energy just in general and feel more vitality, which is why I call it my practice vitality.
Yes,
So,
I love that too because it's so true. And I think I've been seeing you now for about, I mean, off and on, but it's been about a year and a half since I've met you. And I actually had came to you guys because I woke up one morning just with like my neck. I couldn't even move my neck. And I didn't believe that that could really happen to people until
yeah.
it happened to me. And then when I came to see you guys, I was really open to it because I was obviously I'm love energetics and quantum physics and I'm into all of this. And it was just like, oh, this makes sense. Like, because
Mhm.
everything really is trauma or stored in certain ways. And this was just so interesting to me. And I think you said it's based off of 12 stages of consciousness is where a human being is at, right?
That's part of the work. So that's more into the breath work that we do that goes right
Okay.
along with network care. Yeah. So
Okay.
there's 12 stages of consciousness that they've kind of like picked out that we work with.
And is
Yeah.
that how you do you like get when a client comes in, do you gauge where someone's at based off of their emotional state and where the like consciousness level is, and then that's how you're going to treat them, or how does that work?
So it's a whole thing. It's a big puzzle piece. So
Okay.
I've been in training for this, and I will be for the rest of my life. But it's been about 5 years, and I'm learning new things every time. And the analysis is such a huge piece of what we do. So
Hmm.
yes, part of it is like their emotional state or what kind of thoughts they're having. But a lot of it is just really learning to feel into like the vibration of the body, right? These tension patterns that I'm talking about is just vibration. Everything else, like everything else
Yeah.
is. So I'm feeling actually like physically in your body. What does your body feel like? What do the muscles feel like? The bones, ligaments, what's like the actual just like physical tension there, where it is in the body. And then I'm also feeling the energetics of the body, the field, and what's the quality of the tone and tension in your body and your bodies. So it's a lot of different things we're looking at, and we're looking at some really physical markers too. It came from chiropractic. So, when I'm touching your feet, I'm really like checking out what's going on in your neck.
Oh, interesting. Because
Yeah.
our bodies really are trying to always tell us something. So
Mhm.
essentially, you guys are like tapping into the deeper messaging of like the alignment, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. Symptoms are never here, just to keep us down. They're really here to wake us up. So
Right.
yeah, we're looking to see what our body is trying to tell us and how do we use that energy and what it's trying the body will like harness energy, and oftentimes like in an area, like if you ever like store energy in your like upper traps, right? And like it gets
Mm-hmm.
like really hard and it can hurt there. That's a perfect example of when your body is storing energy. And when you can release that energy, which is what we're doing in the work, then you have less symptoms. But then like where did the energy go? You get to use it for more things, for more healing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And it makes so much sense because I'm thinking in my brain when you did work on me last week alone, it's almost funny because I feel like it opens up it opens up like new energetics for you, but it almost like triggers to clear deeper stuff first before that new stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Which
I
like
like,
isn't always fun, right? Sometimes like healing can be messy. I tell people
yeah,
that
like
too.
you said. And I'm like excited to come and see you again this week because I'm going to explain. Obviously, I'm going to I document my process with you, but I went through like a day of having dreams about my ex-husband and my marriage and all this deep rooted shit that I thought was not there anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right?
But like it was good. It was like clearing and it was almost a sense of closure in a way, I think.
Beautiful.
Um, yeah, it was really interesting. And then with that, like I had a couple of days of like even like low aggravation and like frustration and like not really sure what the hell was going on. I didn't feel like myself. I felt very like in my feels and like fuck life and meh and just kind of like what the hell. But that within it like triggered me to come to this deeper place. And it actually
Mm.
happened, today. Just seeing things from a different point of view and a point that I haven't seen, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, on a deeper level, it was really interesting.
So good. This is the work, right? So you talked about those like phases of consciousness.
Hmm.
So in every pattern that shows up in your life, the actual antithesis is also true.
Hmm.
So for example, there is one pattern that can come up that has to do with like your sense of self. And in
Hmm.
this, you might have this feeling of feeling like stuck or feeling like you're not enough, these stories that we tell ourselves.
Hmm.
And then when you're able to access that energy and be aware of it, first of all, like really tap into this feeling of like, this hurts, like I'm
Yeah.
actually in suffering right now. When you're able to do that and then we can access that energy and move it on the other side of that, it's like, I am enough. I know myself. I'm strong in myself. And you can play with this, it happens in all different facets of our life, but that's
Yeah.
how it works. You get like
Yeah.
both sides of it.
And it was so interesting and intriguing because I'm about to launch danceandheels.com on the 15th of this month, but I'm also working on launching Affirm Fit Nation in October, which is affirming your fitness and using affirmations with workouts. And I just
Yes.
had this moment, of being like just being in the transitional phase of it all and it's not fully manifested yet and trying to
Mm-hmm.
keep positive on the fact of that it's happening and I'm doing it and I'm excited, but then kind of being in my own feels and not, and then not having this human interaction and like not being able to go out and always being alone. Like I just had this moment of like, well, who cares? Like, is anyone going to care anyways? Who's going to listen to me? Like, nah, 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 and just like so being in that. And then today, when I switched everything and was like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm not going to feed into those thoughts and go down that road because that's total victim mentality. I'm going to feel empowered. And I went for my run and I started doing my workouts. And then all of a sudden, I started filming. I filmed like 4 or 5 different Affirm Fit Nation workouts that I'm going to be using. And like, I felt so empowered. That's why I had to like push our call back a little bit because I'm like, oh my God, I'm filming. It's great.
Yes. And you know what's on the other side of the pattern of feeling victimized is abundance.
And I have been working so hard on that because I definitely have those, or had, and I have been working on getting rid of the limiting belief and
Mhm.
the lack and victim mentality. So it's been awesome and very growth oriented the past week, I feel like. So I'm really excited to get deeper into that at our meeting this week. But so I want to get a little deeper into your work with clients. Like what are some of the deep rooted things people have came to you with that you have been able to help assist in their healing and things like that?
Yeah, totally. So I'll give a couple different because people come in for all different kinds of things. One of the first people I got to see, which was pretty cool to like start off my practice this way, was actually having a lot of physical symptoms. And so that as a new practitioner can be like really scary because it's so like in your face. Like he
Yeah.
can't move his neck like you know, like can't move his neck, kind of like stuck like this, bent over. Um,
And that
and
means
he
it's gotten so bad that he's like unconsciously been ignoring something energetically for so long that it's now like physically like this.
Yeah, as part of
Yeah.
his genetically. And then he also, this person had a log fall on his head. So I was like, oh my gosh, like who am I to think that like energy is gonna like, you know, fix this like huge physical, like a log fell on his head. That's huge.
Yeah.
So he hadn't been able to work for over a year, had seen chiropractors, had seen physical therapists, all these things. And we had him set up for a plan of care for 6 months. I think he was with me for 2 or 3 months and then left because he got a job in another state, was able to like stand up, walk, and like happy and have a full life. And it was amazing.
Wow.
One of the things, yeah. And then
And did he
on the
see
other
you
side
once a
of it,
week?
he started the first couple weeks 3 times a week and then 2 times a week after that. And he was really good. He
Okay.
was consistent and did the work. It was great.
Amazing.
Yes. So that's one of them. And then the other side of it, I have people that come in all the time that don't have symptoms. Like they're not in actually any physical pain, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So somebody I'm working with right now, is like, it's so fun to see what comes up for her because she's in business, right? She's in this like really transformational work. She does business coaching and consulting, but it's really like rooted in like very soulful. And it's a lot of mindset work, psychology. And I mean, she's been in business, I don't know, I think 10 years.
Wow.
And this is her second business. And they're working on scaling, you know, they're getting to the, working on getting to the 7-figure business. Like they're doing well.
Nice.
And so what's amazing to see about her work is, you know, you can look at somebody like that and be like, oh my gosh, you've made it. Like you're doing so well, you
Right.
know, we almost like pretend that they're not human and we don't all have our struggles. So with her, it's really been, how do we, as she's scaling up in business, how are you scaling up energetically in alignment with your own life? And just like you
Mm.
said, like all of these like old patterns that we've like dealt with or we've done the work around can come up. And so it's been really beautiful to see, you know, her process and the ups and downs and what happens actually in her business more so than her body. Because she's, I mean, incredibly healthy, really takes care of herself, has been for years, like purely organic and exercises and does all the right things. She's amazing. And
Right.
like there's always more, like we're just like constantly reaching for more. So she'll have weeks where, you know, she feels really heavy and a lot of emotions come up. And then there are weeks that are like her business is exploding and she's ecstatic and everything is wonderful and and then we're looking over long term, right? So
Right.
these ups and downs within her body and her care, we see that in her business, but it's always going like up, up, up. So that's been
Wow.
really
And that just goes to show too, like the embracing the ebbs and flows. And you don't need to be physically sick or feeling something to see you. Like, and that's why I like to see you too, because it's like, no, I don't have to be like physically like, well, you guys really did heal me. Like my back and the neck injury or the neck issue I had, I mean, it's gone. So I definitely know this work works and I'm just so excited to share it. That's why this is all even happening. But it's like, I truly feel like there's also a lot of subconscious habits or patterns that maybe we need help to just get rid of or open up to or whatever that is. And I feel like that also helps me in different ways too.
totally, yes. And this is one of the things I appreciate and love about this work so much. because there's so much out there, right? Like we can do life coaching, which is amazing. And I do life coaching and I think everyone should, it's great. And all of
Totally.
like, shadow work, and we can think through a lot of these things, but these subconscious patterns can be really tricky. And like the patterns are stored in our physiology, in our nervous system, in our body, in our connective tissue. And so this work is amazing because it's accessing that without you having to think about it. So it's helping you to clear those patterns without you having to like actually, I mean, you're putting the work in by coming to your visits and,
Yeah.
processing what's coming up for you and all of that. But it's a different access point and it's really powerful.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And okay, give me one or two more examples of some more clients, and then I want to jump into something else I'm going to ask you.
Sure. Okay. Here's an interesting one. I had another woman that was like incredibly healthy, doing all the right things. And this is actually something I've seen more than once, and it will be good, especially for people that are into your content. I feel like people are aware and we know of all these different practices. But with her, it was that she had so many different practices. It was actually like really frying her system. So
Mm,
she came in really sick in the way that she was just like exhausted and like couldn't get through the day. And
yeah.
this was the beginning of quarantine, so this is recent.
Wow.
And so she works with plant medicine and, has like done all this work and really knows how to take care of herself, and as a shaman and acupuncturist and Reiki healer. And she's like, why am I so sick if I like am doing all the right things?
Right.
And so with her, it was really interesting because her system was so scattered, like we could see like this pattern and this pattern and this pattern and this work and this work. And it was like all in her field and system, but just all over the place. And it was just like, oh my gosh, we've got to like clean this up. And like that word alignment, like it's real, like you really have to align your energies and make sure that they're working together and not having, all of your different energetic systems working on different things. Like you're one being,
Yes.
one being. Yeah. And
Yes.
yeah, so too much input can actually be really, really frying to your system. It can be kind of devastating. So that was a
Ooh,
really
that's
amazing one
good.
too. And she was another one that left because, she got well and had to leave. I think being in LA, especially right now, and then there's a lot of energy here. So that was something that was important for her to just really wake up to that. Like, I actually can't be
Yeah.
here. And that was part of her healing, is to recognize what environment that she needed and get there. So
Wow, that's
a very cool
crazy.
thing. Yeah.
I love
And,
it. Is
yeah.
there anyone else with like any bad physical symptoms that you had to see that you're like, whoa?
Yeah. I've had a couple people with the neck thing, which is funny
Yeah.
because it's actually happened to me too, which is funny that I attract people like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. That happened to me while I was or before I went to school, I think. Either while I was in school for chiropractic or before. And it was like the worst pain of my life and couldn't move my head.
And what is
Um,
that? What is that based around? If you have the neck thing or between the shoulders, what is the meaning?
mhm. So it really depends on a lot of things. That would kind of be per person, per situation kind of thing.
Right.
Sometimes it really is just, like a physiological thing, like getting a log dropped on your head kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
And sometimes it can be, let's see, depending on where in the neck it's like stemming from. There can be things around like relationship, trust in relationship, trusting in timing. Trust is a big one in the
Self-worth. I feel like I dealt with that for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That one is actually big in the hips, especially for women. We hold a lot of like our worth and our are we enough stories in our hips.
Interesting. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love it.
Mhm.
So, what got you into this work? Why did you get into this work?
Yeah, good question. Okay, so I found chiropractic when I was in college. So I grew up really sick and I didn't know it. I always thought, I was told it was normal, like growing pains. I was always told I had growing pains, not a thing. It's a thing. You really feel pain, but it's not normal. It doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
And I had like asthma and allergies and digestive issues, and I was just like always in pain and always exhausted. And so I would end up going to the medical doctor all the time. And it got to the point where I was in college and a doctor told me that it was in my head and I was making up the pain. Oh, and that was just like the last straw for me. I just felt so
Wow.
unseen. Yeah. And I actually found chiropractic through a Groupon for massage, which is like
Nice.
so funny.
I
Just
love
like
it.
broke college kid. Yeah. And it came with like a free chiropractic consultation. And at that point, my mom had always told me, like, don't see a chiropractor, it'll break your neck, which is so funny
Right.
because Natalie loves chiropractic. But I went, and I like will always remember this day so clearly. They like sat me down in their office and they showed me this like picture of the body and the nervous system and like all the organs that the nerves went to. And they explained to me like how the body works and how the nervous system works. And when there's interference in the nervous system, that the body doesn't work well. And that's why I was in pain. And I was like, that's the fuck? Like, that's it?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, I was so like happy, but like angry too, that like nobody had ever taken the time to explain to me how my body worked, you know,
Right. Yeah.
in that way. And then so I got adjusted, and this was a regular adjustment, like the crack, you know,
An
and
actual
that
like
day,
chiropractor.
yeah, a real,
Okay.
yeah, very traditional, crack everything.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's not for me. No.
Not for me anymore either, but it got me to where I am, so I'm grateful for it. And at that point, I was having 3 migraines a week, and that was just my normal for years. And
Wow.
it went away, no more migraines. And then I had like pins and needles and like numbness in my fingers and my toes. That went away. And then so I kept going for care, and eventually like, my asthma and allergies went away, and my digestion got better. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Anything is, you guys can shift out of fucking anything in life. It is so crazy. That just tells me it's true.
Yes, right? Yes.
That's amazing.
That's how I found chiropractic. This is a long story. When I give you the whole thing, though, sometimes I break it up. You're gonna get the whole
Yeah,
thing.
no, full thing.
So then I started chiropractic school, and like totally was like, I'm gonna like crack people's necks, and this is what saved me. This is what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be great. And then I had this roommate in my first semester. We call them quarters. We did quarter system at my school, who did Network Spinal, and I was like, you are like the weirdest kid in the world. I can say this now because one of my like good friends.
Yeah.
I love, yeah. And I was, but he was obsessed with Network Spinal. At the time, it was called Network Spinal Analysis, NSA. And he would like try to get everyone to do it, and we were like, "You're so weird," like, you know. Like, but he was so passionate about it, and he loved it. And so eventually, I just like saw the people that were in this care. I was like, "You guys are like doing so great in school. Like, you're just like floating through the hallways. I'm losing my hair. I like can't keep on any weight. Like, I'm so sick because chiropractic school is like, it's really hard, and it's such an adjustment from the life I had before." Right. And I was also going through, I didn't know it at the time, but the beginning of a divorce and separation. So I was super stressed, and I was like, okay, these people are like literally floating. What are they doing? So I went and got my first entrainment, which is, as you know, what the work is called. And I remember I went with a friend, and it was our first time, both of us. And we just gotten trained by like students. Like, these were not like masters of the art. They were just students, you know?
Right.
And we had to skip the whole next period because we were like high off our asses. And we just like wanted to come on. Yes. And like so much shifted for us. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what is this? So then I was curious about it, but then I got out of it for a while because it's different, right? And this was not my paradigm at all. I was not like into the spiritual world. I didn't understand energy. I was like, this is scary, too much. Right. So I left it for a bit, but I had learned a little bit of it in school, like with my roommate and different students. So when I was a year and a half into chiropractic school, who was my husband at the time, left. And he ended up having an affair and losing all of our money, and, you know, having our lives threatened, and all of these like crazy things. Like someday there will be a documentary about like this year of my life. Really insane. And so I had to take some time off school. So I went home and took time off school. And that time I got into a horrible car accident where they like took out the whole backside of my car. And I really should have been like in the hospital in pain, but I had just come from getting an entrainment. And I was like, I felt my body like as I got like hit from behind, like it was hit from behind, like not breaking. Someone just like, I stopped because the person in front of me stopped, and the person in front of behind me didn't see, just like slammed. And I can still remember just like my body and like this like wave like motion, just like taking the energy and just like waving it through. And I did like end up hitting my head. So I like passed out for just a little bit. Right. But I got out of the car and I was fine. I was like, I should be like bleeding like really bad. And I wasn't. So after that, I was like, oh my gosh. And then I started like working on people. I was like, oh, I know a little bit. Let me like, try this out. And I was working at a chiropractic office at the time that did like traditional chiropractic work. And they would start, like the employees would start to see me instead of the chiropractor. And I was like, I don't know anything. Like, why would you prefer this work over like the other chiropractic work? So like all of these things built up. And at some point I was just like, why would I do anything else? Like it's been like miracle after miracle for me. And like this work is so impactful, and you don't have to put a lot of force into someone's body, and it's so honoring to people's systems. And then you don't have to be like in pain, and people can like take off from their. I started a business when I was in school. Like I was in the middle of a divorce and like all of these crazy things. I started a business. I ran a retreat to Costa Rica, like things that I never even thought were imaginable. Yeah. And it was just, this work is amazing. It's opened up
So
so
it
much.
really like found it, it's like it chose you.
Yes, this is what we say all the time. The work, you do not choose this work. You don't find this work, it finds you. And I say that to my clients all the time too. The work
Yeah,
is
it's
kind of the
so
work, how they find us.
cool. Like that is such a crazy story you have with it all. I didn't know that. That's amazing. I knew a little bit about your story, but like not in depth like that.
Yeah.
Wow. I just I'm so grateful because whenever I come in to see you, I'm excited to come to my appointment. Like I feel when I leave, I feel like a whole new person and I just feel like lighter and like something went on that I don't even know what, but it went on.
Yes, I love that.
That is so cool. And is there any other kind of thing you think people should really know about it, or maybe if they can research more on it, where could they go? How can they work with you?
Yeah, so the best way to find out about the work in general, Epi-energetics is Donnie Epstein's company. So there's plenty of videos there. Also, I know you know this, Shayla, but on the Goop Labs on Netflix, Gwyneth
Yeah.
Paltrow show, episode 5, there is a practitioner that studied the older work and he's kind of made it his own. So it's a little bit different. But that's kind of one of the wonderful things about this work. Like every practitioner gets to bring their own flavor and their own gifts to the work. But
And
he
it
does
can
a
look
good job.
weird. It can look interesting. It almost looks sometimes like an exorcism almost because your like body is doing weird things without you even like knowing it's doing. How do you
Right.
explain that?
Yeah. So I'm not great at explaining this. There are actually like studies done at like MIT and University of Southern California, Irvine, I think, where they've studied actually like mathematically this wave that moves through your body. And some have said like it's a sound wave. It's also like your nervous system controlling your muscles to move so you're not moving yourself. But it really is like, you've said this before, like it's not me, I'm not doing it. And they've shown
Yeah.
studies with like somebody that has lost control of their legs, so they can't move their legs themselves, and they'll move because it's not like, your brain telling your body to move your leg when you don't have control of your leg. It's actually like, which is probably where the sound wave theory comes in, of an actual wave moving through your body. So I
Yes.
don't know, like the science behind it. There are plenty of studies where they have people like hooked up to all these different things and measuring their body and trying to figure out this phenomenon. I just kind of trust it, but
Right. And that's why, yeah. And I just know because of the feeling of it and like the actual outcome and the things that happen in my life. That's why I'm like, it's
yeah.
real, it's legit. I love that. So, where can people go to work with you? Where can they find you on social media?
Yes. So social media is a great way to find me. I'm at Vitality Empowers on Instagram. And you can always, I'm like also super open. You can like text me if you want. So
Okay.
I have my business number. We'll see if I remember it. 213-342-1722. I'm like super open to chat with anybody about this. Best way to find me though is at Vitality Empowers on Instagram. And if they know you, you can connect us too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm going to be sending people your way nonstop. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for all that you do and sharing more about this too. I think that people might really enjoy this and really be open to trying it because there's just, I think, a lot of people that need something right now. And even if you're sick, even if you're not sick, you guys, I really encourage you to reach out to Dr. Elaine or me. Feel free to ask any questions that you guys have. It really is a personal journey for everyone and such a cool individual thing that people I just think really need to experience.
Totally. And I should add too, my office is in South Pasadena. I'm also going to be practicing in Orange County, an office there. And then I do some virtual work too. So wherever people are, just get in touch and we'll find something for a
You do
practitioner.
virtual too?
Yes.
Oh, okay, now that's amazing. That's so
Yeah.
cool. So do you
Yeah.
have if you do virtual, do you have to be like in a quiet space by yourself or something? How's that work?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have people lie down. It's usually just on their bed. And for people to get like the entrainment virtually, I like to see them in person first just to get some baseline strategy. So
Right.
for that, we do things like, even if they weren't here, then we could do like an intensive where they would either come here, I would go to them for a few
Mhm.
days at a time. And depending on, what their case is, we would figure out a schedule that works for them. And then the
Okay.
other part of it is the breath work that goes along with the entrainment, SRI, somatorespiratory integration, which you mentioned that really goes along with the 12 stages of consciousness. So
Okay.
that's really easy to guide through people through virtually because you can do it yourself.
Okay.
It's great to do with a practitioner, but you can totally do it yourself. And I can connect to people's like energy fields wherever they are, kind of like distance Reiki. You don't need to be like with the person to do it.
Right.
So yeah, it's the ways of
Yes. Oh
happening.
my gosh, I love it. And you are into Joe Dispenza's work as well, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So grateful
Okay.
for him and what he's teaching the world. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I am just like over the moon with his teachings because it allowed me to see so much more scientifically as I view the world. Like, really, everything is a frequency, everything is vibrating at a certain level. And when you know and realize that everyone's a mirror mirroring back energetics to you, and really to never take anything personal, it makes life that much more interesting to always check yourself and
Yes.
always like be continuing to work on your own inner shit.
Yes. Yes. I love it. It's so true.
Thank you so much, Dr. Elaine. You're amazing. And so Vitality Empowers, you guys. Make sure you go and follow her, check her out. If you have any questions, reach out to her, reach out to me. We got your back. Thank you so much for joining us today on Quantum Magic TV. Make sure you join us back every Monday at 12 p.m. PST. Bye, guys.